Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Sound Mind. My name is Brian, and I'm so excited to be here with you today. Listen, you all come every week supporting this segment where we bring spirituality and mental health together, and I am so appreciative of you. So, you know what I ask you to do every week? I need you to share this with at least three people. If you can do that for me, share it with three people, sister, friends, bros, aunties, uncles, cousins, whoever, somebody you work with. They need to hear this conversation today. It's going to be amazing. You can send them the link. You can tag them in this so they can see it later, but they don't want to miss this segment. It's going to be amazing. While you're doing this, let me take this opportunity to shout out our senior pastor, producer, Dr. E. Dewey Smith Jr. Thank you so much, sir, for this opportunity to have this conversation. We really need it. And so thank you for your vision of not just the Hope TV, but also Sound Mind. I want to thank some people in the backgrounds that make this possible. We have graphic artists, assistant producers, studio personnel that make this possible. And so I want to stop and take a moment and just say thank you because y'all just see my face, but they're really doing the hard work behind the scenes every week, every day. So I want to say thank you. Well, you know what it is. My co-host is not here with me today, but you'll be seeing her very soon, Miss Teresa Pryor. But today we have a very special guest. She is certified with the Coach Training Alliance. She is a life coach. She is phenomenal. I'm going to let her tell a little bit more about herself, but she is going to drop some nuggets today. Sound Mind family, will you welcome Miss Katricia Eaglin to our show today?
Hi,
Hi, my sister. How are you?
I'm blessed. I'm blessed.
It's so good to see you. Now, I'm going to go ahead and put this out there. I said I was going to let them let you tell a little bit about yourself. But Katricia is happily married to my big bro Vaughn. They have a beautiful dog named Pepper, and they have a little one named Kenlin. How old is Kenlin now, Katricia?
Kenlin is 9 months old.
So, how many hours of sleep are you getting with the 9 month old right now?
I would say maybe about 4 or 5. I'm averaging about 4 or 5 a night.
Well, we are grateful that you're spending some time with us today to talk. Can you tell us a little bit more about yourself, Katricia?
So, a little background about me is I'm a former professional dancer. I danced professionally for 10 years. In that career, I also excelled to be rehearsal director. Um, and then I left to use my master's in biblical studies from Dallas Theological Seminary. So I worked at Concord Church with Bryant, and then I was recruited back to the company where I danced in order to be the academy director because I like kids, I like parents, I like planning, so it all goes together. In the interim of that time, all those transitions, I decided to go into being a life coach, and so I was certified with Coaching Training Alliance, which interestingly falls in line with me being a licensed minister as well. So those two come together for me, which works greatly for the Sound Mind Show. Here we are.
Here we are. It does. And so let me give y'all a heads up, a quick warning. Katricia is going to be snatching edges today because she gives the truth very plainly. There have been many days we've talked on the phone and she said things that I needed to hear but didn't want to hear. So I am just, you're in for a treat. Tag someone, share it. Her Instagram information is right below her picture. So make sure you get her information right down there, right down there. You're going to need it because it's going to be phenomenal. All right, so let's get into this. So, Katricia, you work with clients all the time. What is your area of expertise that you normally help people with?
So I often speak with professional women who are looking to transition because as you've heard, I've made some significant transitions. Changing from being a professional dancer and going into administration is a huge leap, and it takes it's a life change because being a lot of times our career becomes our identity. So then you have to really be ready to open to changing your identity and not identifying yourself with the former career, but with the new career. And then who is that person in the middle? So
Mm.
I talk to women going through that. Oftentimes, I have talked to a few men, but typically women going through career or desiring career transitions. Because sometimes we get into the conversation, and then the reality is you don't need to change your career. You need to change you.
Mm. Whew. Whew. I told y'all this is already good. So Patricia, help me really quickly. How do I know when my job has become my identity?
When you introduce that first, when you say, when someone says, "What do you do?" It's easily accessible. Hi, I'm Katricia. I'm a dancer. And
Mm.
you sit back and you wait for what you do to let everyone know who you are.
Mm.
You know,
Oh, that,
let's say I'm in marketing, and so you just wait, like you drop the mic and you're waiting for everybody to make these assumptions about you. You know, if
mm.
you're in marketing, then you present yourself well. If you're in marketing, then you have the gift of gab. If you're in marketing, then you know how to sell yourself and others, which is it can be an assumption. It could be
Mhm.
true, but when you're waiting for people to get to know you by what you do, that's when you know your career is your identity.
Whew. Y'all forgive me today because I think I'm in a session right now with her. Y'all just get to be in the session while we're doing this, but she's wearing me out. So let's talk. So the name of the segment is, taking a look in the mirror, because you said that before we make the transition, or as we start thinking about making the transition, we need to look at who we are. So can you walk us through the importance of being able to know who we are and identify ourselves? Because like you said, some of us are so consumed with our job and our career we're in that has become our identity. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
sure, and tell me if I'm overstepping here, but we also attach our identity to a lot of other things that have nothing to do with like who we are. I'm gonna let you talk because you know it.
No, I definitely agree. So in regards to getting to know who you are, one piece that people have to really be ready to is look at themselves honestly. Like look at yourself in the mirror, and this is who I am. What you see is what you get. A lot of times we want to sell ourselves an idea of ourselves rather than who we really are. So I want to present myself as organized, but I'm not really. I'm not really organized. I want to present myself as a people person, but I don't really genuinely like people, not in my heart. I want to present myself as being well spoken, but I'm not really. And some of that has to do with the expectations of others and the pressure that we feel to people please. So we know that people are expecting certain things from us, so then we oblige. And
Mhm.
so a lot of that obliging becomes our identity instead of
Mm.
us really settling in on who we are, what we really like. I'm really really passionate about the Myers-Briggs test. I don't know why, I just am. And probably because every time I would take them, I would get different results. So then I realized, okay, when I took them at this job, I would get ISTJ. When I took them at home, I get INFJ. When I was in a different situation, I would get ENFJ. So then I realized I'm answering these questions based off of what I want them to think I am, not who I am. So when I
Whew.
started to take the test, answering the questions honestly with myself, then I was able to see myself clearly in the mirror. This is who Katricia is. And then once you realize who you accept who you are, not realize, I guess realization is part of that, but accepting who you are, then you can grow, then you can truly work on true weaknesses. Part of identity too is, or accepting your identity is accepting your weaknesses. And if you're not honest with yourself, you really can't work on any weaknesses. And also accepting your strengths. When you're really honest about your strengths, then you can have true confidence, not something fake that's putting on and obliging others. It's no, I am truly good at this thing.
I'm loving what you're sharing. I'm going to be transparent in this moment and say that a lot of times it's easy to attach your identity to something you do or somewhere you work because you don't like who you are. And so
Mm.
you want to attach it to what you know other people can relate to and will like, because you don't think they will relate to or like you. And
Mm.
so it's really good to hear that there is an importance, because I'll be honest with you, for me, it's a safety mechanism. I don't know if you'll really like who I am, so let me just tell you what I do, and that'll be the conversation instead of, well, I don't like that about you, or you may not like that about me. And so what may be helpful for someone else out there, and I'm sure you're already blessing them, what may be helpful, can you walk us through um, in that idea of transition, wanting to change, wanting to do something different, and we are in battle with ourselves? What are some of the questions that you ask the individual that you may sense is in battle with their identity as they're preparing to do the transition?
So, am I too big for this now? Like, are you too big for this now? Now, are you when you start to feel like a Mustang parked in a garage, it might be
Mm,
time to transition because our jobs and the things that we do outside of our occupation and our vocation often prepares us for a next step or
mhm.
sometimes to level up, so it may not be that you're changing jobs, it may be that you're changing positions. And sometimes it's also accepting the fact that we are better than what we think we are. So we'll
Ooh.
start to hear people around us saying you should do this or you should apply for that or you should do this, and we go home and we look in the mirror and we say, oh no, no, I'm not ready for that, I need to no. And no, you don't need to get ready, you are ready. And you look in the mirror and you go, God is with her, she will not fail, and you keep pushing.
What I
That's
look,
one situation.
yeah, I was just going to point out that some people look in the mirror and they will convince themselves that they are not prepared for something when actually they are prepared, more prepared than possibly they even need to be. What? Mm, can you speak to that person that's watching right now, that's doing that, that's talking them their own selves out of opportunities? Can you just speak to them for a second?
So one of my favorite scriptures is to not think of yourselves more highly than you ought, but rather with
Mm,
sober judgment. So inside not thinking of yourselves more highly than you ought, we have to looking at ourselves too lowly. Because who
mm,
do you think you are to talk about God's child that way? When you look in the mirror and you say, oh, you can't, you have a lot of nerves. That means you've put yourself on the pedestal to talk negatively about yourself. So then
mm,
that's not looking at yourself rightly with sober judgment. So that sober judgment would be, I'm good at this, I'm not good at that, but that doesn't matter. God will empower me in those weaknesses because what his strength is made perfect in my weakness. So whatever he has called me to do, he's going to strengthen me to do it. And if you feel
mm,
that pulling, calling to step up, to move about, then get those feet moving. And he'll be a lamp
mm.
unto your feet, a light unto your path.
Woo! That is good. That's so good. And it's important because we do that and we've been trained. Let me tell you, this false humility thing, I don't know where it came from. I don't know why it exists. Imposter syndrome, those types of things. Like it's such a battle, and most people don't even know they're doing it. And I'll say this: raised in the church, huh? Church people, come on, listen to this. We were taught, oh, let me be humble, let me not off volunteer myself. I gotta wait for somebody else to hear that I'm called to do this for my opportunity. That's bull. I'm not gonna curse. I know this is a Christian network. I'm not gonna curse, but it's bull. It's crazy because You are gifted. You are able to walk into some opportunities, but you talk yourself out. God is like, come on, let's do this. I've equipped you. I've built you for this. Life has built you for this. Anyway, woo, come back.
Because
All
he's
right.
enriched us in every way. If we go boldly to the throne, why not go boldly to our goal? If we're going to press toward the mark, where is the mark for which he has called us heavenward? On the other side of heaven is our goal, right? So we live on this earth. We have to achieve certain things in this life. And if God would give David good success in battle, then why can't we go fight for those things that he sends us to take over the land being our goal, or the goal that he's so given us?
Okay, talk to me. So, Patricia, you've guided us through. The first question was amazing. Are you too big for where you are now? What do you say to people who are ready to make that step, but they don't feel like they have the support necessary around them? Maybe with their spouse, their partner, friend circle, mentors. What do you say to them? Because a lot of times we lean on people when we already know the answer inside, and we allow other people's fear. And some people have wisdom, but I don't think everything that comes out of everyone's mouth is wisdom. Just anyway, whoo, I'm not gonna say that on the camera, but help us. Help. What do you do? I'm trying to behave. I'm thinking we're on the phone right now, and I'm trying to behave. What would you suggest to that person?
So my first thought scripturally, when you hear prayers of getting favor from God and man, we have to remember that it says God first. So if you have God's favor, you have his support. He is your stronghold, your battle axe. He's going before you. Then it's funny how sometimes we see it clearly. We see the goal. God gives us the outline, and we may not see it specifically, the outline, but we can see it happen. We can see God gives us the steps, if that makes sense. So if you don't have support from spouse, family, friend, mentors, you have to remember that you don't need as much help as you think, and sometimes they're going to come later. One really good example is I guess not necessarily, is it my own? I'll use my husband's example. His is really good because I'm the spouse that wasn't supportive. He was ready to move, going to private practice, and I was like, I don't think so. I don't think so. But me being a praying woman, I said, if God gave you the confidence to do it, or the vision to do it, then do it. I'm behind you, but I wasn't supportive as I could have been. Now he's very successful, and that really flipped the corner for him in 2013. Made him turn the corner. And so after that, my support looks different. But so it was like a superficial, I don't want to say fake support. But it wasn't it wasn't as real and visceral as it could have been. But he didn't need that. He just needed the Lord's calling, and he went with the Lord. And everybody that is supposed to be behind you, they'll come running afterwards. Sometimes they won't be next to you or before you when you need to achieve a goal, and that's okay.
It's almost like the fable of the I think it's the hen that was making the pie or the bread. They didn't want to be a part of it at the beginning, but they come eventually.
They come.
They come. They come eventually. So you've pushed me to a point now where I'm now thinking that there is someone possibly watching right now as well. They are so comfortable where they are. Can you talk to us about being too comfortable and may not knowing that there's something next or more? How do we identify comfort in a place?
That's it. Comfort or complacency?
You're going to explain both, and then you're going to work us through.
So I would say being comfortable is, you know, that this is a good analogy, I think. In preparation for something, let's say as a dancer is preparing for a performance. If I had no nervous jitters at all, I learned that was not a good sign. I was too
Mm,
comfortable. But if I had the feeling of I have just enough anxiety to make it a little more powerful than rehearsal, but I'm calm. My legs aren't shaking, my hand is steady, I can think clear. That's a good place. I would say that that's comfortable. But there's a
mm,
certain level of discomfort in good comfort, if that makes sense. Because then
mm.
once you get too comfortable in a comfortable place, then it becomes complacent because you're not growing. That, you know, you need some tension to grow. And so every place you are, whether it's home, work, as a parent, your finances, church, there should be just a little bit of a little tension, just a little bit, so that you're growing and you're not sitting idly by watching other people grow, watching other people fulfill God's vision for their life, and you're just sitting going, I wonder what my thing is. But He's already told you what it is, and you already know what it is. And it's about not being scared. It's about, you know, not thinking lowly, or not talk, like you said earlier, not talking yourself out of it. You got to talk yourself into it, and you got to believe that you can achieve. And I know it sounds really cheesy, but it's so true. You know, whatsoever things are lovely, praiseworthy, of good report, you think on those things, and you repeat to yourself that you can do all things through Christ. I know that's a financial reference, but you know, that contentment and that push through to get to the next thing, you have to know that that's in your in your reach.
Yeah, yeah, that's good. I want to just say how I commend you for your work. Um, and it's important because whew, a lot of times we depend on our spiritual leaders to give career advice and life advice. Um, and and yes, their intentions may be great, um, but the Lord has skilled professionals like you in life coaching to help people make that next step. And so I want to commend you, one, for your work. We've had life coaches on here before, but I just want to commend you on your work that you do because it's so necessary. There's so many individuals that may be just on the brink. Let me just say that really quickly. If you're watching, you may be on the brink of your next, but you were self-sabotaging. It's time to look in the mirror. It's not your haters, it's you. It's not your friend circle, it's you. You are on the brink of something great, but you are stopping you. Bryant, talk to yourself. I am, mind your business. But we all do it. We self-sabotage. And so you're helping us to make those steps towards a better life that God wants us to have so that we can be not just profitable in heaven, but we can be profitable on earth. Hallelujah. So, if we are interested in your services, how do we find you? How do we connect with you? Help us with that.
Yeah, that Instagram, Expressive Life Coaching, and you can click on the link and you can schedule an appointment. My fees are very reasonable. It's about the people.
That's good to hear. Listen, y'all, if you were trying to determine what your next step is and you want some advice that is non-biased, that's covered in both wisdom and word, you need to hit up the life coach, Katricia Eaglin. So before we leave, Katricia, I need one more thing for you. Can you leave us with some parting words, parting thoughts, something that we've talked about, or either something that's just been on your heart that you would like to share with our viewership today?
Um, I would say it's very important that if you're very passionate about doing something, quit making excuses and do it. If you
Mm,
do it a little bit every day, if you do it on the side, this is it's not about creating a side hustle. It's not about creating a business. It's not about this, creating something elaborate to make your name great. If you're passionate about something, take the next step, do it, do it in phases, do it in pieces. And if it's supposed to be big and elaborate and it's supposed to make your name great, it will. But you will get that burning desire that's going to provide fulfillment. You'll get that out your system. So if you're passionate about something, do it.
That's so good. I needed to hear that. I'll schedule my call with you later. Everybody, Sound Mind family, thank you so much for hanging out with us today. Katricia, thank you so much. Please leave her some love in the comments and tag somebody who you know needs to hear this. They are holding themselves back. And it's time to stop. We're not going to wait till January 1st, 2022. We're not going to wait for the next prophecy to come. Get off the prophecy and get to productivity. Woo, that's a good one. But anyway, you like that, sis? I know it's good, right? But thank you so much for hanging out with us today. We're looking forward to seeing you sometime soon. Remember, at all times, do what's best for you. Protect your mind so that it can be sound. My name is Brian. Thank you for hanging out today, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.